So, Nate, it's good to see you. How are you doing?
I'm great, MJ. Great to see you too. It's been a while. I love following what you're up to on social media and stuff. I love kind of getting little glimpses into your life. But yeah, no, it's nice to reconnect here for the I guess the games have just kicked off, so it's nice for
Yeah,
us to reconnect right now.
100%. It's the perfect time for a mini reunion for us. And I too love creeping you on social media. What better place to creep along with people's professional and personal lives? But yeah, I'm really looking forward to Paris 2024. I feel like 4 years, well, in this case, 3 years, it seems long at the outset, and then all of a sudden it's like it's here. And they just announced, I believe it was yesterday, this year's flag bearers. So Maude Charron and Andre DeGrasse. How do you feel about these picks?
Oh, I mean, they're outstanding picks. I think I remember watching them both compete last Olympics. I think we flew back with Maude, and with she had her gold medal with her. She was outstanding. She's a stud. She's awesome. I'm really excited to watch her compete these Olympics. She was someone I was really looking forward to seeing do that. So to see her do this as well, that's pretty cool. And obviously DeGrasse, he's been a stud for so many years now. So I'm really excited for both of them. Really proud of both of them, and yeah, I think it's going to be a great games, and yeah, I think I'll feel a lot of emotions watching those guys walk into the stadium tomorrow, and with all of Team Canada behind them. What are your
Oh,
thoughts?
same exact sentiments. Two champions who are leading a team full of champions into the stadium or down the Seine or wherever it kind of is going to be taking place. I'm looking forward to getting into the games. I know some of the games have already started. We were just talking before this. Rugby is already underway. There's a lot of other sports who have already started their competition. What sports other than rugby are you most looking forward to following along with and watching during these games?
Honestly, I love watching all this. A lot of the sports I don't watch in between Olympic Games. I think a lot of fans, we don't see a ton of these sports on a regular basis. So it's so fun getting into and feeling so passionate about sports you don't see all the time. So like I'm pumped about the skateboarding. I love the addition of skateboarding last Olympics. I love both our basketball teams. I'm pumped to watch those teams throughout the tournament. The track and field's always a highlight for me, of course. I'm interested to see what the break dancing is going to be like these games. I don't know
Yes.
how that's going to go, but apparently we
Yeah.
got some real talent on Team
Yeah.
Canada, and yeah, geez, it's hard to just pick one or two. I'm pumped. I'm really excited for all the athletes. I know, obviously, we know what that's like. How
Yeah.
I'm assuming they're feeling right now, kind of gearing
Yeah.
into the next 2 weeks. So, yeah, how about yourself?
Yeah, similar to you, you named off a few that I'm really looking forward to. Obviously, all the basketball teams are men and women going for the first time. I've never gone to Olympics when our men's team is there because they haven't qualified for quite a while. And so everybody's super pumped that they're going to be there. We also have 3x3 basketball. So this is
Yeah.
their first time going to the Olympics. And a couple of my former teammates, the Ploufs, are going. And I think they're going to tear it up there. Are you a skater boy? I feel like the hat is giving me
Maybe when I
skater
was like,
vibes.
yeah, maybe when I was a kid, I liked skateboarding, but I just think, no, I think it's a crazy sport. I think it's awesome.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I remember actually seeing those athletes zip around in the village in Tokyo, and we were kind
yeah,
of just watching them train and stuff. It was pretty cool. I remember them in the
yeah,
calf on their skateboards and stuff, and then
yeah,
they were just unbelievable. So, uh, and they're so young. A lot of them are so young.
yeah. It is,
So
yeah, that
it's pretty
sport
exciting.
definitely does trend young. I remember, I believe, if I'm not misremembering, the skateboard park venue was on the way to the gym in Tokyo. So when we were going to practices and games, we would drive by their venue and it looked so cool. I mean, yeah. I wish I could have gone and watched in person. Obviously, our games were in the middle of the pandemic, so there was no going and watching other teams, unfortunately. But I'm super looking forward to that. Breakdancing. I have a personal vested interest because I grew up with a breakdancing brother, and
Oh, really?
so yeah, which is super niche. Like I don't think a lot of people can say that outside of growing up in the 80s. But yeah, my brother grew up breakdancing and that was his sport and grew up playing that. I shouldn't put it in quotations because it's literally in the Olympics. And so they are, yeah, we have some awesome medal contenders. I think it's going to be awesome to watch. So just
Well,
been
your
exciting
brother
games
should
all around.
try to make a comeback.
Yeah, brush it off at 40 years old. I think it'll be easy comeback.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So it's exciting time. It's almost game time for the athletes who are competing within the normal 2 week period that the games is kind of on and going as marked by the opening ceremonies. And so we have our incredible flag bearers who are going to be walking Team Canada into that venue. And that has me reflecting on our time together, Nate, when we first met each other and were thrust into one of the most incredible honors that an athlete can have, flag bearing. So we were actually the first, I guess, contingent of co-flag bearers when they selected both male and female flag bearers to take the flag in together, which is pretty incredible. Where were you when you got the call saying, "Hey Nate, you wanna carry the flag?"
I was actually playing golf, and
Amazing.
I got a text from Marnie McBean
Mhm.
saying, "Are you free for a chat?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." I assumed it was obviously she was our chef last Olympics, such an amazing person to have in that role. I knew Marnie prior to this, so it wasn't super strange for her to be reaching out. I thought it might just be something around logistics, around obviously the COVID games and
Mhm.
um, everything that came with that. So I didn't really give it two thoughts. And then uh, I finished my round of golf. I think we set up a Zoom like this for later that day. It might have been that day or the following day. And her and Eric Miles were on the Zoom, and they kind of. It was funny. I actually had some technical difficulties when they were talking initially because
Yeah.
they were speaking and then they cut out, and I guess that's when they brought it up, and then it came back in. I had brutal Wi-Fi,
Oh
and then
no.
I'm sitting there like listening, and they're paused, waiting like, are you not going to react to what we just said to you? And they're like, you should restart your computer. You should restart your computer. We want to do this properly, kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, that's kind of how it went down. Obviously, I was shocked and
Yeah.
hugely honored. But no, very
Yeah.
very cool to do that with you. How about
Mhm.
yourself? Where were you? How did it all work out for you?
Well, I didn't have quite the comedic timing of your computer of letting everybody linger in suspense. So you were in BC when you got that call.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you hadn't come over yet. Our team was already in Japan training and playing some friendlies against I'm forgetting who we played. I think definitely Japan and a couple other teams who came and to get acclimated. And I also got a text from Marnie being like, "Hey, can we connect?" Contrary to you, I didn't know Marnie outside of her just being the chef de mission of our team Canada, and so I was like, what does she want to talk about? Me being a rule follower, I was like, am I in trouble? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Obviously going to like the worst case scenario. I think I might have been just heading out for practice, and then we set up something for later that day, and same connected on Zoom, and her and Eric Miles were there, and they shared and shocked just in those kind of situations, you're obviously incredibly honored and excited and moved. I also had some feelings of like, okay, why me in this huge contingent of incredible athletes? And I know that's been a question that a lot of athletes have said, of, like, of the greatest athletes in the world, who am I to have this honor? But an honor it was, and like you said, to do it alongside you, I thought was really really cool. Obviously, because you're an incredible human being, but it's kind of nice to share that experience with someone else. Because like we haven't talked in a while, but I shot you a message, and you're like immediately like, hey, what's up? Yeah, let's hop on
Yeah,
a
totally,
call, and yeah, it
totally,
creates a special type of bond, I think, right?
for sure. We're kind of forever linked in a way, uh,
Yeah,
around that. Pretty
yeah,
cool. Yeah.
yeah. I love
Uh,
that. And and I think we alluded to this earlier, but that Olympics was a really unique Olympics, being in the middle of the pandemic. First of all, we didn't even know if we were going to make it there, if the Olympics were even going to take place. If you take it
mhm.
even further back, Team Canada had announced in 2020 that we weren't going to the Olympics. And then things pulled together. Japan and all the officials there and the Canadian Olympic Committee did an incredible job of making it happen. And then in the midst of all of that, teams were preparing to play, and then we got selected, and things were going on. If you can think back and remember, how did you go into that games in the middle of the pandemic? What was on your mind?
Like, I'm curious. I'm curious to hear your perspective on,
Mhm.
obviously having been to three games, kind of
Mhm.
knowing what a normal games looks like, and then experiencing that one. How did that differ for you, going into the
Yeah.
2020, I guess 2021 games, um,
Yeah.
versus the prior?
Right? Yeah. No, it's definitely, it's interesting to look back on all of that. I've had the incredible honor of playing in three different Olympics. And so sometimes when people meet me and then they hear my background, they're like, how's the Olympics? How was that experience? I'm like, which one? Because they were all wildly different, right? So
Right,
my
right.
first London 2012, incredible Olympics, really well organized, great like spot in the city. And I was a rookie, you're just coming in, you're just happy to be there. And then like Rio, I was in the middle of my career, um, and was going into a leadership role, and so it had a different dynamic there as well. And then Tokyo again at that point, a bet, so aging quickly through this process, and then you're adding the pandemics onto that. So definitely a lot of compares and contrasts. Um, One of the things that was similar, regardless of the pandemics, was that like the cafeteria situation, like still felt relatively normal-ish, even though there were large like barriers of plastic between us when we were
Yeah,
eating,
yeah.
and on the side, like glass cubicles. But at least we were able to still see other athletes and mix and mingle. And so that was, I think, an integral part, at least for me, for the Olympic experience outside of the court or the field of play. What about you?
Totally. Yeah, I think what I remember from it was, I remember obviously we had a test every morning.
Yeah.
Um, we did COVID
Oh,
tests every morning, right?
I haven't thought about
Uh,
that in a
and I
while.
remember
Ex-
feeling
Explain the
a
test
little bit,
though.
yeah. Do we have to spit in like a cup or something? It was something like that. It was like a
I
saliva
think,
test, wasn't it?
yeah, because we had a few different ones. Yeah, you're right. At the Olympics,
Yeah,
because in training camp, we had the nostril tickle your brain one every
right.
time. But at the Olympics, it was like you had to fill up a vial of spit
Of
until you were
saliva.
basically
Yeah,
dry. Yeah, yeah.
totally, totally. Yeah, and I remember like when we were in there, the odd athlete would test positive, and it would be like
Hmm.
in the news, and they had to be removed from the village. So I do
Yeah.
remember, as enjoyable of an experience it was, which was amazing. I do remember there being some like anxiousness around testing or passing a test that you couldn't really control, even though we were doing everything we could to be safe, like all the athletes.
Yeah.
So that definitely played like a factor in just the experience itself. I know me and my teammates were just
Yeah.
like, oh, geez, like we're doing everything we can in our power to prepare, yet be safe and pass this test so we could compete.
Yeah.
So that was definitely a different. I'm assuming, obviously, it would be a different kind of dynamic
Yeah.
than prior
Especially in
games,
the
but
Yeah, especially in a team environment where you're living together and literally going and sweating on each other in
yeah.
practice. And I know our team was like that, and I believe most teams within the greater Team Canada kind of kept in our own little pods, and we would talk to other people, but not really hang out with other teams because you try to limit any sort of passing
Right.
of germs and all the rest. So you're right. The
Yeah.
isolation in that was really interesting.
Yeah, it was such a weird time. But I don't know. I just remember being really excited for the games. Really excited.
Yeah.
Obviously, I was disappointed fans couldn't come.
Yes,
All my family were gonna come. They had it
for
booked.
sure.
Um, but then, like you said, like you touched on before, just the emotions of the games are off. Team Canada, I think, was the first team to announce that they wouldn't be attending 2020.
Yeah.
Going through the roller coaster of emotions of, oh, we just trained X amount of years for this moment. We qualified. Is it happening? Is it not? Plus all the other things happening in everyone's
Yeah.
lives during those times. Yeah, it was just an emotional roller coaster, but to have seen it through and to have been able to go there and compete, it was an amazing experience.
Hmm.
And yeah, I'm really pumped for these athletes in Paris
Yeah.
to get to see those dreams out here.
Yeah. You touched on something that I want to follow up on, and we'll talk about a little bit about the ceremonies themselves and how we felt in that experience. But you touched on just the pandemic and how that was impacting everybody's lives back home. And I would assume, and you can tell me if you felt similarly, but I think I felt an even greater weight of responsibility of representing Team Canada in that moment because everybody was dealing with a lot, like up until like the point of death. Like people were mourning people that they had lost, or just like a loss of lifestyle, or being extremely isolated. And these games, for a lot of people, represented like a breath of relief, or at least distraction, or a sense of unity. And I remember that being on my mind a lot, of like, okay, representing Team Canada, these incredible athletes, but also the greater Team Canada at home that was watching, supporting us, cheering us on, and just are coming out slowly from this traumatic global event, and hoping that the Olympics could be like a beam of lightness and life and hope and joy and all those good things that sport can bring, right?
Totally. Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I remember hoping it would be kind of like the turning of the tide, like it was
Mm,
kind of the coming out party from it. And I know some things continued on after that for a little bit, but it did feel like kind of the first somewhat normal thing
mm,
that kind of happened. I don't really remember after I think like the bubble and a lot of the sporting leagues and things like that, but it felt like the closest thing to normal for our team, anyways, that we'd had in a year and a bit.
yeah,
So no, we definitely did feel those same emotions of representing everyone back home
yeah,
and yeah, just something for people to take their minds off. It's always a fun couple weeks, right? Because
uh,
everyone's kind of unified in a way
mhm,
around this team, and yeah, I know everyone in my life is talking about it, and they're talking about the athletes they're seeing on the news and who they're excited to watch and all this stuff. So I think
yeah.
that's the cool thing about the games.
Yeah, I love that about the Olympics. And so the ceremonies, when we're recording this at least, is tomorrow, although if all things go well, I'll release this on the day. And take us back to the ceremonies, Tokyo 2020, which happened in 2021, getting ready to hop on the bus from the village and go to the stadium and line up and go in. What do you remember about that night?
Yeah, I remember they kind of capped it. They capped it how many athletes could come with us, right? I think there were about 40 athletes ish
Mhm.
that night who came,
Yeah, did they
give or
cap it,
take.
or was it just like people had decided based on their comfortability and the
You
team
know, you could be
and
right.
all the
You could
rest?
be right. Yeah,
Who
you could be
knows?
right.
But yeah,
I
it was
remember we did
definitely a
have
small contingent.
totally. We did have a little like gathering in by outside the Team Canada buildings there
Yeah,
prior. That's where that was probably the biggest crowd of Canadian athletes all at
yeah.
once. I saw the entire games,
Hmm.
and uh, and then those who were willing to or wanted to go to the ceremonies or ever, however that worked, we kind of
Yeah.
congregated and got on the bus and went there. I remember being really hot. I remember it being really
Yes.
hot. I remember me and you wearing some white pants that were whole. I was getting chirped by my buddies. It was awesome. Pretty funny. But
Yeah.
no, yeah, it's kind of what they describe it as, right? It's a lot of hurry up and waiting at those things because there's so many nations that go out one at a time, and you're
Mhm.
waiting in these tunnels with
Mhm.
minimal air conditioning, just hammering waters, trying to stay hydrated, and
Yes.
yeah, no, those are the kind of the big things I remember. Obviously, walking out with you and me, you and Marnie kind of chatting before throughout this whole process and stuff. That was all really really cool, and
Yeah.
yeah, definitely one of my favorite memories.
Yeah. It
Yeah, how
would
about you? What are
definitely
your big what are the big things that you remember from that day?
a very long process to get to a very short moment that people at home see for I don't
Yeah,
know how long were we walking? Like a minute, maybe
yeah,
a
maybe.
couple minutes. So it's like you're getting ready to leave the village, you're waiting outside with your contingent. And the interesting thing in Tokyo, and depending on which country the games are being held, it's in alphabetical order, but Canada in Japanese was later on, it was with the K, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. And so normally we're like at the top of the line. And so we were like in the middle of the pack. So waiting,
right.
waiting, waiting, waiting. And we're not waiting with the flag, but we're just like chatting with other athletes, just dripping sweat. I remember
Yeah,
before we even got to that point, getting ready and like putting my makeup on, borrowing from my teammates of like, okay, what is going to be the longest lasting makeup in this muggy, like 30-degree plus heat? We're like spraying this like makeup setting spray, like slicking the hair back with so much gel. Honestly,
yeah.
it stayed. I use the same setting spray that I did that day because I know if it can make it through that, it can make it through anything. So that's a great takeaway for me, at
Perfect.
least.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I remember us also talking in the tunnel, like strategizing about how to hold the flag,
Totally.
and yeah, you could. How did we decide? How did we end up deciding? How did we hold it
We
together?
were, yeah, I remember we were talking about like whose hand goes on top of the flag. I think we both gave each other a moment with it as well, and then we did it
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
The details around it, yeah, I remember us talking about it, and there were some people in the stands, but it wasn't like packed like it's going to be tomorrow.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I just remember, remember that. I remember a lot of pictures being taken
Yeah,
um, before, during, and after.
yeah.
And yeah, you're right. It was a lot. I don't. Do we get there like 2 hours early? Maybe longer,
Yeah,
or
maybe
like
even
a minute, I
longer.
think.
It was
Yeah,
it was a minute. How
Yeah.
heavy would you say the flagpole was? People ask me this actually pretty frequently.
Really? No one's
Yeah,
ever asked me that. I have no
really?
idea. I have no
Yeah,
idea. I remember we
I,
just grabbed
yeah,
it. They
go
like
ahead.
hand it to you before you walk out, and they
Hmm.
kind of take it back from you right when you get to the end, don't they?
Yep, yeah. But regardless of how heavy it was, you took the brunt of it because you took the bottom like a gentleman. I was just like guiding it
Yeah,
on
yeah,
top.
yeah,
Oh goodness. And the one other thing that I remember about this, the strategizing was we were talking about the angle of it too, because we didn't, if you hold it up straight, the flag will just droop down unless there's
okay.
a lot of
Yeah,
wind. But we wanted like a little angle so that it would drape and you could
right.
see the leaf
Yeah,
and everything.
yeah. I think that was you. That was your brains on that.
I don't remember
Yeah,
that, but I
yeah.
do. I believe it was your idea for both of us to have a moment walking and holding it individually, which I thought was kind of a cool and a good idea as well.
No, just an amazing. Yeah, it was. What a cool experience. You know what? I've never watched it. I've never
I don't
watched it.
think
I've
I
seen
have either,
pictures.
actually.
I've seen
Yeah,
pictures. Someone
I think.
asked me that the other day.
Yeah,
I've never
I
watched
think
it.
I may have seen like a couple of clips that people have sent me,
Like
like
very brief. Yeah,
after.
maybe like
Yeah,
a.
like there are people like,
Yeah,
oh, it's like the shaky cell phone video of the
right.
TV set. And I think
Yeah.
that's it, but I haven't. Yeah, nor have I. That's the thing of like being an athlete that you don't think about. You think you have all these media clips and videos, but they're all owned by whoever took the photo or
No doubt.
video.
No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember it was just kind of like a bunch of great pictures, and then we're kind of right into our own competitions, right?
Yep.
I never,
Exactly.
yeah, I never really watched it back. So
Yeah, that's
I'll
the
be
other
watching
thing
tomorrow then.
too. Yeah, I'll definitely
Yeah.
be watching. I think it's middle of the day, EST, and kind of early for you over on the West Coast. But will
Mhm.
you be watching with friends and family, or just by yourself, or snacking some, thinking
I
some
don't really
juice?
have anything organized for it yet.
Yeah,
We'll see. How about you? I remember
same.
your
Like,
folks were on the news last year during it, right? That
yeah,
was awesome. Yeah, I remember that.
yeah. People love Mama and Papa Ayim. They had a little backyard gathering, and I
Yeah,
think CBC came and featured
very
them, and
cool.
some friends and family came over. I'm not sure that we'll do that this year, but I'll definitely be watching. I'm excited for it. The unfortunate thing is like I've wanted to organize some watch parties for the basketball, watching our women's team, but they're all at
Yeah.
like 7:30 in the morning,
Oh, really?
11. People are working. Thankfully, my schedule is a little bit more flexible, so I'll be tuning in regardless.
Oh,
Um, but yeah, we'll
oh
see
yeah. I'm
how
pumped to
these.
watch them.
Yeah, no, I
You
think
know,
it's
what's
gonna
their
be
pool look
great.
like? You know their pool? I don't want to put you on the
Yeah,
spot.
no, not at all. Yeah, they play France first, then Australia, then Nigeria. And
Okay.
those are all great teams. I
Yeah.
mean, when you get to the Olympics, everybody's good. So
Yeah.
if they start strong and make it through this pool, then it really depends who they cross over with. And I know all of our stat people have already done all of the externalities of
Right. Right.
possibilities here and there. So let's see. And you said the women's rugby team is starting tomorrow
I
or somewhere
believe
around
it's
there.
the day after tomorrow, and
Okay, so the
they have a
26th and
really really
27th.
exciting young squad. So I've enjoyed watching
Yes.
them the last couple of years, kind of grow into what they are now,
Yep.
and yeah, I really think they can make something happen this week. So I'll be watching very closely, cheering them on.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, we'll do the typical podcast sign off of where can people follow you or connect with you, Nate?
Where can they follow me? I'd say just go to your account and find me through your fault. Yeah. No, I'm on.
Perfection.
Yeah, totally, totally.
Yeah.
I'm not on
It,
TikTok. I haven't made that jump. Actually, you know, I
yeah.
haven't even been on social media that much the last little bit, but
Yeah.
I'm
Good
out
for
there.
you.
I'm checking it
Good for
out.
you and
Yeah.
your mental health, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we'll post this on YouTube and Instagram, and we'll definitely be following along and cheering on our Team Canada compatriots. And I think it's going to be an awesome games. Thanks so much for hopping on and chatting with me, Nate. It's always a
Thanks,
pleasure.
MJ. No, appreciate it. Great to see you.